So you're a teacher and you like to make some of your own activities for your students to do, which makes sense because one, it's kind of hard to find like the perfect activity for what you want to do, and two, you know your students best. Now you're interested in taking those products you've already done and selling them on Teachers Pay Teachers. But how do you get it from like thing we're doing in my class to thing that I can post on TPT? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to talk about how you take something that you would do in class and turn it into like a TPT worthy product, and how to post it and those kind of things. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then you can just keep watching because we're going to talk about it right now. Also, if you're watching this because you're new to TPT or thinking about TPT, definitely check out the link down below where I have the free getting started guide. It's like a slideshow that goes through all the different like terms you need to know, things you need to do. It has videos from my YouTube channel like linked in there, so you can check out all sorts of different tutorials and things like that, and it has all sorts of things you need, and it's free. So click link down below, go check that out, and let's get started. Okay, first of all, if you're making your own stuff, hopefully you've already figured out that Word is not the place to do it. We're not making things in Word. We're making things in PowerPoint, in Keynote, and maybe in Google Slides. We like slides because when you are doing something in a slides format, you can easily move things around, you can add text, you can add pictures, and you can move things around, and you don't have what happens in Word or Docs or whatever, where you have everything like laid out and then you like change one word or change the font size and the whole document is completely destroyed, right? Right. So that's the first step, is hopefully you're already doing that. And if not, I would highly recommend it. You can just do so much more in PowerPoint, in Keynote, in Google Slides than you can in a word processor. If you're doing a product that has long passages, I would still do it in a slides format, but I might type it into a word processor and then copy and paste it into there, so you can still have the formatting that you would like, but you have, you know, just a little bit more options there. Typically, when you go to post a product onto TPT, the most common formats are PDF and then sometimes PowerPoint, or Google Slides are kind of like the three top, I would venture to say. That's the first, is like make sure you're making it in that format. The second thing you want to do is you want to make sure that it looks pretty. There's, you know, they always say, don't judge a book by its cover. But the truth is that people like pretty things. I mean, it just is. And so you don't want to have products or activities or things that just aren't aesthetically pleasing. Now, that does not mean you need to have tons and tons of clip art. I always have people who are like, I don't like clip art because I teach older kids. That's fine. Like, you don't need to make it like super cutesy or anything like that, but you do need to make it look aesthetically pleasing. So it was made by someone who has an eye and it doesn't look like, you know, a child made it. You want to make it look nice and look professional so that people will see it and think that it is a decent product. If it looks really, really ugly, they're not going to want to use it, even if the content is good. So make sure that you make it look decent so that people will want to use it, and so that they will take you more seriously and think of you as a professional, because congratulations, you're a professional. First of all, because you're a teacher. Secondly, because if you're selling something, you are now in business. Congrats. Number three is, after you have like your version and you've made it kind of pretty, then you want to think, what do other people need? This is a big differentiator between like newbie TPT sellers and people who have been on TPT for a while. Because after you've been on TPT for a while, you realize like, oh, other people have different needs than I do. And so we might need to have other options for activities. I have options in my products that I have never used in my classroom because I know that other people like those options. So for example, I have like a rhythm activity where it's like a rhythm sorting situation, and I have that where you can write the answers, and I also have where you can cut and paste the answers, and I also have ones that have like pictures, and I have like all sorts of different options in my products, because I recognize that just because I like it one way doesn't mean that everybody wants it that same way. So make sure you think like, what are things that other people might need? They might need things differentiated higher or differentiated lower, or they might need a more simple version, or they might need 2 to a page to save on paper, or they might want just 1 to a page so that their kids can like draw something on it. There's lots of different ways that you can do things, and you want to think like, what would make my product very valuable to different teachers? If you're having a hard time with this, then maybe just go to some other teachers that you work with and ask them like, hey, what would you add to this product? How would you like to see, you know, what differences or changes would you like to see in it? This is also important because you don't want to post like super teeny tiny products. I always tell people you do not want $1 products. You do not want little teeny tiny products because frankly, like you just have to sell so many of them to make any money, to make any of this worth it. And so instead, it's much more helpful if you can, you know, post a 10-page product rather than a 1-page product so that you have many different options and so that you can price it accordingly and you can actually make some money from that. The other thing to think about when you're looking at like different versions of things is if you have something in color, always make sure it's also available in black and white unless there's a specific reason why it needs to be in color, and that's for printing. If you're not printing, you don't need to worry about it. Okay. Now, next up is we're gonna add a couple of things. This is what I think of as like TPT-ifying it. So with your product, you want to make sure that you have everything a teacher needs. So you're going to want to have directions for your product, even if you think it's self-explanatory. I've had some products that I feel like are very self-explanatory, and I've had people ask me like how you do it. So just go ahead and add teacher directions. I sometimes include printing directions if the printing is not just like print and you're done. If there's any like front and back or anything weird, I like to include printing directions, just, you know, again, as an extra thing so nobody's confused. It's also nice to have student directions if you have something like especially a centers activity or a game or like an individual activity. You might want to have student directions on there. So like all of my card games, I have like a page that's like, you know, big letters and it's cute and it has directions for how to play the game, so you can put that like at a center while the kids are at that center working on it. So we have teacher directions, possibly printing directions, and also student directions. You also want to make sure you have an answer key if that is at all applicable, even again if you don't think that you need an answer key. Again, just this week I had someone who was like, why is there not an answer key on this product? And I was like, because you don't need an answer key. Like you really shouldn't need one. But I went back and I added the answer key because if one person is asking for it, it usually means many people want it. So here's my advice. If you even slightly think it might be necessary, add an answer key. Basically, as long as it is not something that's like, I was gonna say if it's not a craft, but even in a craft, I would still put a picture of what the craft looks like. Yeah, pretty much if it's not like super ridiculously self-explanatory, add an answer key just in case so that people who are, you know, wanting that extra accommodation have it. Also think like they might be leaving it for a sub, they might not know how to do it, they might be a first-year teacher. So just add the answer key if it is at all applicable. You're also going to want to have a table of contents if it is anything more than like, you know, here's a worksheet. Especially if you have like different sections of the product, make sure you have a table of contents so that people can easily find what they are looking for. This is also really helpful if you have something that's available in color and in black and white, because you don't want people to print out the whole entire product and then realize they don't need half of it, especially if it's a long product and it has a lot of stuff. So have a table of contents so people can easily find what they need and what they need to print and all of that stuff. The next couple things are what I think of as like the TPT stuff. So I'm going to give you a little more information about what each of these things are. First of all is I like to add a title page, just personal preference. So when they open the resource, there's like, you know, just a title page to make it look pretty. Then in addition to that, you also want to have a thank you page. So a thank you page is literally what it sounds like. It's just like a page where you're like, hey, thanks for, you know, doing this, buying this. In that page, I usually put like links to my social media and stuff like that. So if people want to follow me over there, they can do that. I also will have links to any clip artists and any like font people that I have used their stuff. So if you are using fonts or clip art to make things pretty, you're going to want to make sure that you give attribution to those people by using their little button, and most of them want you to send a link to their store as well. All of the clip art and like fonts and stuff, by the way, that I use, I get from Teachers Pay Teachers. You can buy them from there. Just make sure it says commercial use and make sure you read their terms of use, because they're probably going to say that you need to have a button that links to their store so that people can see it, you know, their work. So that's where I put that. I do like thank you, follow me stuff at the top, and then I'll have the links to whatever I need links to in the bottom. In addition to that, you're gonna wanna have your own terms of use page. So this sounds like weird and maybe a little bit scary, but it's okay. Terms of use basically just means what is okay and not okay to do with your product. For example, it is totally fine to post my products to Google Classroom for your students to use. It is not okay to post my products to Google Drive for the other teachers in your school to use. It is not okay to post my products to the internet where anyone can access it, but it's totally fine to print it for your class. So you can go through and you can add this, look at maybe some products you've gotten off TPT and read through their terms of use to see kind of like what a standard is. Don't steal their terms of use, but just, you know, for guidance, for reference, you're welcome to look at any of mine, although now I'm a little bit nervous that mine are not good. But there we are. And so you want to have that in your terms of use so that people can see what's okay and what's not okay, basically. And that really just protects you so that if anybody ever were to take your product and like post it to the internet for free or for sale, then you can come at them and be like, hey, you can't do that. And, you know, lawyers and that kind of stuff. So fun things we don't need to worry about. But basically it's just protecting you and making sure that you're protected in your status as the creator of the product. So don't think about it too much, don't get scared. I also like to add my email to this page because it's really hard to answer questions on TPT. You know, they have like a Q&A and people can send you an email or they can send you a message, but they can't keep talking to you. So they can send you one question, you can send them one answer, but then you can't like continue the conversation on. And so it's hard, especially like the other day I had someone who was like asking me a question, but they didn't say what product they were talking about. And I was like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about because you didn't tell me what product you're looking at, but here's my email. And so just for that reason, it's easier communication wise. And secondly, you know, it's just nicer to have things private so that if anybody does have something like, you know, if heaven forbid there's like a typo or something like that, it just looks better to not have that on your public page. And so having an email will help people to email you first before they're like sending things to your store for everyone to see. And the last thing in here is optional, which you're not gonna do with your first product, but you can do later. And that is an upsell page. An upsell page is where you have a page that's like, hey, if you like this product, then you're also gonna like this product. And so that is a way that you can get people to purchase more products by promoting them essentially in your products. With this, I would pick things that are very similar to the product they are using. So if it is a writing activity that they're using, then you're gonna want to link other writing activities as well, usually like a bundle. I would say no more than 3 things to promote, like 1 or 2 is best, because it's just, you know, less options make it more easy for people to actually follow through on things. And so that would be my suggestion, is like 1 to 3 things that are related to that product that you can link in there so people can purchase more. You don't have to do that. It's just, again, an optional thing, but it is actually something that you can make money from. If you're new to my channel, this is Nyla. She likes to join us. She also likes to make noise and sometimes randomly attack me in the middle of videos. You'll see a lot of her if you click the subscribe button down below and stick around. Do you have any insight on how to turn products into TPT worthy products? Maybe you should put a cute dog on them. Great idea, great idea. Next up is to protect your product. Just like we protected our product with our terms of use page, we also want to do a couple other things. One is having a copyright symbol on each page. So at the bottom of every page of every product I ever make, I always add a little parentheses, C, the year, and then either just R. Davis, or if it is like a slide, I'll usually do R. Davis, Becca's Music Room. So you want to have that because it just is like a layer of protection on your products so that people, again, it's harder to steal, it's harder to do, and you have that there. Copyright is just the law that protects things that you have created. And if you create something, it's now your copy, so you own it. You can also copyright things and you can trademark things. That's a whole conversation for another day. But right now, all I want you to do is do parentheses C, year, name. Okay, Okay, add that to the bottom of every single page that you have in your product to help protect your product. In addition to that, we have to protect anything that is your work, but also that is from the clip art artist. So how to do that is you need to flatten your product. There's a couple different ways to do that. I will give you 2 simple ways like to flatten / protect it. One is the free version. If you're in PowerPoint or Keynote or whatever, take your slides, export them or save as images, open a new slideshow, and then insert those images as the background of the slides. This way people cannot move things. They cannot take the clip art that is on there, copy it, paste it, put it somewhere else, because that's really what the clip artists are trying to get around. And they also can't take your work and, you know, switch it up and things like that. It just makes it a little bit harder. The second way that you can protect your, oh, and by the way, if I do Google Slides, I always do it in PowerPoint or Keynote first, export the images, then stick it in Google Slides, and then if I have anything movable, I put it on top of that. Again, because that protects the work of the copywriters and also the clip artist, and also protects my work as well. So then the other way you can do that is if you have Adobe, then you can protect it that way. So with Adobe, you just export it as a PDF, and then you just go protect from editing and add a password to it. Make sure you click editing and not viewing, because then people won't be able to see it at all. So you want to click edit, and that way, even if like, you can try it, if you go and open Adobe, you can copy and paste a picture out of Adobe, but if you protect it with password, then you can't do that. It asks for the password, and so you can't like just go and take things out. So those are the 2 like main ways that you can kind of flatten a product. There are many other ways that you can do that, but you know, that's the 2 main ways. So let's stick with that for now. Adobe, I do pay for it monthly. You do not need the super expensive subscription. You just need like the smallest one, because you just really need that one thing that you need to be able to do. So you don't need like all the fancy stuff. But if you're just getting started, you might want to try it the free way first, just to, you know, get your foot in the door, and then maybe switch later after you've decided if this is a thing that you're going to want to do. And it's a thing that you should definitely do. I've been trying to get everybody onto the TPT train. I'm working on it, And finally, it's time to upload your product. Now, uploading your product includes a whole lot of stuff, so I'm not gonna get into everything. I am gonna refer you back to that freebie that I mentioned down below, because it goes in depth with video tutorials into how to do all of these things. But the basic version is, first of all, of course, you have to have a store. And so you wanna have your store open, and then you just go to My Products, and then you just go to My Product Listings, click Add Product. You can upload the PDF or whatever it is. You can only upload 1 file, by the way. So if you have multiple files, you'll need to make it into a zip file, which you can Google how to do that. And so you can only upload 1 file. Have a title. Make sure that title is searchable. So by searchable, I mean that title explains what the product is. So like first grade writing activities for centers. Okay, like something that someone would type in to look for your product. Then you're gonna wanna have a couple of things. So I'm gonna go quickly over like the TPT vocabulary, and again, click the link down below to get the freebie with much more detail, because that's a whole other video, so I don't wanna waste a bunch of your time talking about that. That's not this video. So when you are uploading your product, you have your product and your title, and then when you scroll down, you'll have your cover. Your cover is your first thumbnail. It is a photo, and it is the photo that shows up in search, which means you want it to look pretty, and you want it to have a large photo of your product and and some kind of text saying what the product is. You don't need tons and tons and tons of text. We just want, like, I want to be able to see the product, and I want first grade writing activities. Okay, like we want, it's big and easy to read, because it's usually going to show up really small, and it needs to be eye-catching, because that's what people see when they click on, when they're like searching. So that's your cover. After your cover, you have 3 other photos that you can use. Those are called thumbnails. All of these, by the way, are square. Your thumbnails are 3 other pages where you can upload pictures or information about the product. I like to do pictures with text over top of them. I do my cover and my thumbnails and everything in Canva. And so I have pictures of the product, and then I have information about the product, highlighting kind of the key aspects of the product. So why is this product awesome? What's important that you need to know about it? Those are the kind of things I'm putting in there. You can also have a PDF preview. It just says preview. You can do like a PDF, a GIF, you can do an image. Don't do an image. Do a PDF preview where you can go into more depth about your product, why people need to purchase it, more details about it. If it's a game, I always put directions in there, highlighting like the key aspects of it, what makes it awesome, all of that kind of stuff. I have a video again about previews, so I can click the link down below, get the freebie, check out all the videos, check out all the things. You can also have a video preview in addition to that. It doesn't need to be anything super fancy. It should be short. You don't need to talk. You don't need to show your face, but it is really helpful to see how the product is used, especially if it's something like a game or a craft where it's hard to visualize. If it's like worksheets, it's easier to understand, but games, crafts, that kind of stuff, it's easier to see than it is to like imagine. So that would be my suggestion. You do not have to do any of those things except for the one thumbnail for your cover, but the more that you put up, the more likely it is someone's going to purchase, because you're giving them more information and therefore they're more likely to see how awesome your product is and more likely to purchase. Then you're going to have your description. In your description, you're going to write about, you know, again, why is your product awesome? Who is it for? How is it used? I like to do a couple of paragraphs describing those things, and then I do bullet points where it's like, here are the quick facts for those people who are skimmers. And then underneath that, there's a whole bunch of other buttons that are not as scary as they look. So you can click like to add standards, you can click to add grades, you can click the tax thing, by the way. It's usually going to be other digital, or yeah, other digital something. Whatever says other, that's probably the one you want. And then you can add custom categories and all sorts of things like that. But the main things are gonna be the things up at the top that we talked about. And then you just click upload and you've got your first product up. It sounds so simple when I, you know, make a quick little 20-minute video explaining how to do this. It will take a little bit of time, but it is really worth it if it becomes something that you want to do over and over again. Especially if you just make like one product, you're probably not going to make a lot of money. But if you make this a thing that you do when you make multiple products and you turn it into a thing, it can be really successful. I have years of income reports that prove that that is true. And yeah, so this is kind of like the bite-sized version. I hope that that kind of gives you an overview of like how to quickly turn a product from something you would use in class to something you might be able to sell to other people. I would love if you stuck around, so make sure you hit the subscribe button and don't forget to click the link down below to get that freebie, because it has just so much more information than I could give you in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.